week in review. Just to sum up what's going on this week, hectically looking for IT jobs. I graduated in May, and it's almost August, well, as of the time of filming this, and I still have yet to find an IT job. It's very frustrating. But in the meantime, I've been reading lots of books, and I have been playing Neverwinter, because Neverwinter, yes, is on the PS4, so I've been having fun playing that. The first book I read for the week is M.O.D.O.K Assassin. This is another Battle Worlds Secret Wars book. And to be quite honest with you guys, I've never read any books with M.O.D.O.K in them before, so I'm not really familiar with the character. But one thing I do have to say is this book is not a very serious book. It's just supposed to be like kind of funny. M.O.D.O.K is this killer who lives in Killville, and Angela, I think her name is, she is a Thor, and she crash lands, and there's a whole conspiracy behind that. But, you know, this was okay. I did find it entertaining. I did rate this 3 out of 5 stars. It's worth picking up. I mean, it's not as bad as some of the other Battle Worlds books. After that, I read The Infinity War. I do have to admit, I never read The Infinity Crusade. I did kind of see a little bit of that story from the Thanos versus the Avengers book that I read. So I know that there's like this doppelganger guy named the Magus, and which I thought was really weird, because like in the Infinity Crusade he had an afro, and in this one he has a man bun. So it's just kind of weird. This must have took place in the 90s, because I noticed a lot of the costume designs are from the 90s. This was just okay. It was a lot better than I thought the Avengers vs. Thanos book was that I read, and I really don't think I shared that book in my week in review. Like, I read it last week, and I don't think I shared that book with you guys. But this one was much better than that. There are doppelgangers that this guy is trying to use to try to infiltrate the Marvel superheroes, to try to get the Infinity Gems back. He's even thinking about taking them from another dimension, and it's just, you know, of course, he loses in the end. Adam Warlock and his people called the Infinity Watch, they stop him. But this was okay. I did rate this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Up next we have The Mice Templar, The Prophecy. I have to admit that this book was way better than the other Mouse Warrior book that I read. This one had, like, kind of used, like, real legends and old lore. I'm assuming it's English legends or Irish legends. But I thought this was much more enjoyable. And of course it kind of reminded me of that old 80s cartoon, The Secret of the Nim, because it's kind of like the mice versus the rats. So it was a fun read, and I did rate this one 4 out of 5 stars. It's worth checking out. Up next we have Parade with Fireworks. I almost wasn't even going to show this, but I remembered I put it in the thumbnail picture, so I kind of have to talk about it. This book takes place in 1923 in Italy. It's just after the First World War, and there is like the socialists versus the fascists, basically. And if you don't know like world history, basically Italy became fascist you know, just after World War I and World War II, with Mussolini and all that. I really didn't like this. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I thought the art and the bright colors were great, but I just didn't care for this, to be honest with you guys. Like I said, 2 out of 5 stars. It is based on real history, so if you want to check it out and learn a little history, then that's cool. You know? Up next we have Star Wars Darth Vader Volume 2, Shadows and Secrets. I have to say that the first volume of this was really, really strong, but this one fell so flat. Like, this was just so weak, and I really felt like nothing really happened in this book. It was just kind of, you know, a few behind-the-scenes things. Vader's looking for Luke Skywalker, and that was it. So I did rate this one 2 out of 5 stars. While I am a fan of the Star Wars, especially the newer Star Wars books that Marvel has been coming out with, I just really didn't feel like this was that great. Sorry, guys. After that, I read When David Lost His Voice. This is a graphic novel, and this one is about a guy named David. He gets cancer on his larynx, which is a voice box, and this is basically just his ordeals dealing with when he gets cancer until he dies. I have to admit, this was very sad and depressing. While I love the cover for this, I think it's beautiful. It was kind of hard to read this because, like I said, it was very sad and depressing. Not even like really any sense of anything good of this. So it was just kind of really sad and depressing. So I know I said that probably like this is the third time I've said that, but I did rate this 2 out of 5 stars too. The artwork was okay, but like I said, the subject matter just didn't make me like the book. After that, I read Jessica Jones, The Pulse, the complete collection. I noticed that a few people are wanting to read this, and I'm wondering if people are wanting to read this because of the Netflix show. Jessica Jones, the Netflix show, is a very different entity from the comic books, and if you are not a fan of superheroes, you're not going to like the Jessica Jones comics. I have to say that. Like, I feel like I'm probably going to have to keep saying this when it comes to certain things. But, if you're not a fan of superhero comics, you're really not going to get much out of these Jessica Jones comics. I absolutely loved so far the 2 Alias books I read that star Jessica Jones. But this one was just pure drama. And I felt like 3/4 of this book, I wanted to rate it 2 out of 5 stars. It wasn't until I got to the last part of this book that I decided to rate it a 3 out of 5 stars. The ending was kind of cool because the Avengers teamed up and fought this villain. I forgot what it was called. It was some kind of creature that, like, it was a Adaptoid maybe, but it absorbs their powers and it makes it difficult to beat. But that made this, like, a 3-star book. And another thing is a lot of the stuff they show, like this stuff, there's like one small little panel where she's in this costume, and they never show her in this costume. So it's like, I know this is just a cover image from one of the other issues that made up this book. So, like, I only gave this a 3 out of 5 star book. It wasn't that great. I really wouldn't recommend this if you're not a fan of superheroes. Like I said, it's just drama. It's Jessica Jones getting pregnant and her relationship with Luke Cage. So I don't think it's for everyone. Okay, so this is where I'm going to wrap up my week in review. And I'm going to finish that with Star Wars Agent of the Empire Volume 2, Hard Targets. This is, if you're not familiar with the spies in Star Wars, they're it's kind of like a James Bond type role, but with technology, the blasters and everything. They can assassinate people. So this was all very political type stuff about, senators and different things like that. So it was assassination, a plot against Count Dooku, and this guy had to take him out so that someone else could take his role. So I really thought this was just okay. I rated this 3 out of 5 stars. If you're like a Star Wars fan because of the films, I don't think you'd really enjoy this. Like I said, it was just okay. If you've read any of these, or if you plan on reading any of them, let me know down below and let me know what you thought of them. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button, like this video if you liked it, share it with your friends, and thanks for watching, guys. Later.